This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aerial XL, built to make sure your rig is seen when it matters most. On scene, visibility saves time and prevents confusion. Aerial XL's illuminated number boards cut through the dark, the smoke, and the chaos, so command and incoming units know exactly where you are. From a truck stage down the block to an engine at the hydrant, your company's identity is clear and unmistakable. Installation is simple, the build is rugged, and every board is engineered for maximum visibility and durability. Aerial XL helps your department stand out, be seen, and stay safe. Check them out at aerialxl.com. That's AIRELXL.com, or call 855-700-0125. Aerial XL, because being seen makes all the difference.
Hey everybody, this is Rob from Frontline Mindset. I am very excited today. I'm excited every day, but today I get to have a special guest on, Chief Russell Alexander from the Fountain Inn Fire Department. I met Russ quite a few years ago when we started National Fire Radio, and I knocked on the door of Fountain Inn, and I got to meet some really good people. Russ is one of them. I don't want to mention Steve Eller because he left, but no, we don't hold it against him. But no, in all seriousness, I got to meet Russ and his crew and see what they were doing down there. They protect something very, very important to me, which is my niece. They're first due to her house if there's an incident. So, and getting eyes on the fire department and seeing the operation, I was relieved to know that if my sister and my brother-in-law and my niece ever called 911, that these guys would be there, and there were some hard chargers. And I'm, very happy today to interview Russell here with us on the in the podcast rather. So Russell, thank you for joining us. I see you are out at the academy, as you said, so you guys are living up to the reputation of being that progressive training department.
We're currently at the Fire Academy in South Carolina. Normally we're doing Heart Week this week, but a few things changed, so we're doing Heart Week at the academy. So we've got Lakotas, Blackhawks, rescuers going. It's just a great time down here.
That's awesome. So let's start let's go back to your origin story here. What drew you into the fire service, and when did you start?
Man, it's the cliche story. Dad was a fireman. Grew up, always wanted to be a fireman. So in '97, I joined the Durbin Creek Fire Department. It's an all-volunteer department in Lawrence County. Chief Dale Millwood was running the place. He brought me in as a kind of a junior. At that time, South Carolina, you could get your certs at age 6. Went through the old 1121, 1131. Ended up graduated high school in '98. And I got my first full-time career job in '99 at Donaldson Center working for Ronnie Boyce. I was there for roughly 3 years. Then went to Pelham Batesville with Chief Jolly. Stayed there for just a short stint and got offered a job at Fountain Inn, which was home. That's where I grew up. So I started there really as a volunteer in 2002 and then went full-time in '03.
Okay. And I mean, that's got to be a pretty good feeling to be able to go back home and serve your community where you grew up.
Yeah, it's just seeing the growth, knowing what the town came from, and the growing pains that we've gone through, that we're still going through. When I started, there were 2 of us on shift for 49 square miles. So we got to do a lot. You had to know your job. That's one thing we pride ourselves on, is people knowing their job. You can't hide on coattails.
Right. Yeah, there's no hiding when you're low manpower. It's not possible. And right. For those who are listening who don't know Fountain Inn, can you kind of just give us a quick rundown of the department?
Yeah, so we're a small city, lower part of Greenville County. So, we've got some big departments around us. Currently, we just bumped up to 10 per shift. By the grace goodness of our lovely city council and mayor and city administrator, we were able to get our first full-time fire marshal. That's all he does, and with the growth that we have, it's been tremendous. I think when I started, there was roughly 3,000 people in the district, or in the city. We cover city and fire service area, so we cover part of the county area. We're up to probably close to 15,000 now. So I mean, that's a lot of people. Wow. In a short amount of time. Yeah, we're growing. We just enacted battalion chiefs on shift, so I have 3 battalion chiefs. Every day is interesting.
Yeah. I think the growing pains, and I can feel that because I know we went from, excuse me, my own where I work went from 4 around the clock with an officer and 3 firefighters to now we're up to 6, and we're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Just with the extra bodies in the firehouse, all of a sudden it's like who's doing what, who's on first, what's on second. You know, it's and it's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah. One of our big problems is who's sleeping where.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
just
We've
the,
dealt with
the
that.
whole bed situation. Sorry, it might get loud. They're doing a few helicopters.
It's all right. It makes this part of it the fun and interesting part. How many calls were you doing a year?
So we're roughly 25 to 27 guys on shift work at 48 and 96. Get a nice little break in between shifts. We're doing a lot in the community. Somehow, right, wrong, indifferent, good or bad. I'm now the booster club president of the high school also. So
Just one
that's
more
quite
hat for you
interesting.
to wear.
Yeah. Some I didn't have enough to do, you know. I've got a daughter, a 20-year-old daughter, and a 16-year-old son, and my son's the goalkeeper. So playing a little soccer. I swore he never would. Well, really, both of them, but they both decided to play soccer for some reason.
When as you were moving up, Russell, you went from firefighter to lieutenant, and then lieutenant to assistant chief. What were some of the things that would you say were some defining moments in your path to leadership?
One of them, probably the funniest. We all got promoted to captains, like on a fire scene, working fire. The 3 lieutenants just all happened to be there. Chief promotes us to captain because he wanted us to have a different helmet color, and the next day we all got promoted back to lieutenants. So, you know, just that quick promotion to motion. You know, you get that good feeling. You're like, oh yeah, we're going to do something good here. And that day just kind of crashed us, but it was a great moment. But no, probably some of the best moments are, I would say, learning what to do and what not to do. We all work for some good leaders. We all work for some bad leaders, and just figuring out what your niche is and what you're going to do based on what people have taught you, the way other people act. It's just always kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, that's a very powerful statement, because it's like you want to take the good and the bad from what you've learned before and really put your best foot forward with what you're doing.
And it doesn't always work. That's what people need to realize. You know, you're going to have those, we'll say, bad leaders or not so good leaders, and you're going to pick up traits from them, and you're going to end up, as you go on through your career, you're going to see yourself all of a sudden, oh, I'm doing the same thing that Bob was doing, or Joe or Jack or Jim, whatever their name is, and you're going to be like, no, I can't do that. I've got to change for the positive. You know, I'll tell you straight up, I'm a hot-headed guy, and that's something I've had to work on as a leader, trying to not be so quick to jump the gun. I'm very into it. I love my job. I love being on the floor still. If I have to work a shift, I work a shift. Just because I have 5 bugles doesn't mean I can't work. I fill in whatever role is open. So if it's a driver, I'm driving. If it's a backseat guy that called in on the holiday or had to go home sick, you know, I'll come pick that up instead of making somebody else ruin their holiday. Just little things like that. Learning.
I think that's, I know one of the things that, like, when I started, I saw an article about, I think it was Miami, the chief of police was going out on patrol like once a month, and I was like, that's a good concept, you know, and he was like writing tickets and he was doing police work, you know, and he probably doesn't have time for it, but he didn't want to lose what it was like on the line. And I said, man, so I tried to at least do 2 nights a month at the firehouse, where I'm going on every call with the guys, whether it's an ambulance call or a fire call. And, you know, I'm not there to be the chief. I mean, obviously, if we catch an incident, I'll step up to the role, but like, I'm more there to see what it is that they're seeing, because, you know, it's behind the desk, man. It's real easy to forget some things, you know?
It's funny you say that. So when I got promoted to assistant chief, put a sign up above my door the night before I went on 8 to 5. It says, remember where you came from. That sign, hey, I put a sign above my door that says, remember where you came from. That's kind of my motto. That, and do what you're supposed to do. You mentioned Eller earlier. He sent me a video the other day. I was walking through the bay. He was sitting in the driver's seat of the engine, and I just looked at him, and said, do what you're supposed to do. Because I think he'd shut the truck off too quickly. You know, we try and let them sit for a minute, cool down just a hair.
Yeah.
And that sign has gone to my new office. It's just kind of what I like.
When you look at lessons that you've learned as a leader, and maybe lessons learned the hard way, what's one of them?
Probably the biggest is making sure you treat people right. There's a lot of people that you sit back and look at it and you're like, yeah, I probably could have handled that a better way. So just treating people right. There's no reason to go in and, like I said, I'm a hothead. I'll admit it. But just being nice to people. You know, I've had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Of hey, you need to be nicer. Then it gets into the whole generational thing. You got some people that you say one wrong little word and it's over. Trying to build that relationship is hard.
Like with that though, you have to probably balance being, you know, it's that hard balance of being approachable but managing at the same time expectations and stuff with the members. Because I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, a job has to be done, and you've got to make sure that those things are all happening.
Yeah. There's the book, Buddy the Boss. You can't always be a buddy.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I try and pride myself on, we can have a knockdown, drag out. I can write you up. I could even terminate somebody, and we can still turn around and go have lunch. Once it's over, it's over. There's no reason to keep dragging it on.
How, in your experience, you know, like what makes a strong officer on the fire ground versus in the firehouse?
A lot of it goes back to knowledge and being able to talk to the crew on the fire scene. We've got crews now. We've got some brand new guys coming in the door that have zero training. We've got one guy we just hired. He's older. I say older. He's my age. He's 44, but zero fire experience. But his officers, just the way they teach him and show him on the fire scene, same as going with the 18-year-old we just hired that just graduated high school. You know, he hasn't been through life yet. He doesn't have a lot of life lessons. So just that coaching, teaching how they do that on the fire scene and in the fire station.
When you look at Fountain Inn Fire, what does it mean to you to be that progressive department that you guys have become?
I mean, it's the world. One, because I live there, knowing, you know, I go home at night, I know who's coming to get me if something happens. Now, I'm not going to say I can't wait till the day I retire and I call 911 because I fell in the floor and they have to come get me. That will happen day one. But just the relationship with the guys, that just knowing how they want to work, listening to them. There's a lot of things I want to do, but if the guys and gal don't want to do it, it's not going to work. So being able to pitch ideas to them, hey, let's try this, let's do this. Yeah, it goes back to equipment. If there's a piece of equipment that I want, we don't get it. If one of them bring it up and say, hey, we want this, then we'll get it. I will not buy anything that I want personally just because I think it's cool or we should have it. Everything we get is the department wants, even down to specking trucks. You know, we spec'd 2 engines this time last year, and I told them, y'all are the ones using them, not me. The only thing I had to say in was the lighting package, how many antennas went on the roof, and what kind of radio goes in the truck. That's the extent for me. So they ended up going with side mount pump, everything off the rear. There's no cross lays. They build it from the ground up, letting them have that buy-in.
That's important, especially on apparatus committees. I mean, I've seen a couple fire trucks in my day, and I've seen some that have been built by administration with no idea of what is actually happening on the ground and on the front line. So I think the ability to, turn that over is huge, and it's not easy. Like, that is not an easy task of a chief and a leader.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest, is being able to turn loose of something and saying, all right, y'all go do it, bring it back to me when you're done, then let's make sure it's going to work.
Yeah, and I definitely feel that. I just had, our apparatus committee just finished an engine spec, and they did something untraditional, and not like in the fire service, it's not going to look weird or nothing, but just they went with the production truck and they justified it, and the buy-in was there, and all the questions that I had that needed to be answered on my check boxes, if you will, were all answered. So while and I had to go back and be like, hey, this is something that I'm emotionally attached to the old process, and these guys found a new way to get it, and they're going to get an awesome pumper, and we're going to do it cheaper for the taxpayer. So like, it was, yeah, that's huge, man. That's huge to do that.
Right. Watching some of these guys be a good steward.
How did your time as assistant chief prepare you for the responsibilities of taking on the role of chief of the department?
Our former chief, he put a lot on me, and I think by him doing that helped me build some foundation to go to the next level. We had a guy that just promoted to lieutenant, very capable of doing the job. We can see it, but some of them will ask, "Hey, do you think I'm ready?" I don't think any of us ever know if we're ready to go to the next step. People don't understand the actual pressure that comes along with having all those bugles on your collar. That just gets kind of tiresome at times, because who do you complain to? The guys on shift, they sit around, they can complain to each other.
Yeah.
They can complain to their lieutenant, their captain, their battalion, but you're supposed to complain up, not down. So who do chiefs have to go to? And I think that's a big problem across the U.S. You can go to another chief that you've built that relationship with. Hopefully you're building those relationships. Chief Matthew Littleton from Easley, he's retired now, but that's one thing he instilled in us at USAR, was building relationships, keeping that going.
Have you ever wanted to see the inside of a fire apparatus manufacturing facility? Well, now's your chance. On Tuesday, September 23rd, HME Aaron's Fox and the Dingus Fire Company are teaming up for a joint open house in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Join us for an all-access pass to the HME factory, where you'll walk the floor and see firsthand how fire apparatus are built. From the raw materials to final assembly, you'll witness the craftsmanship, the attention to detail, and most importantly, the people who pour their pride and skill into every truck that leaves the line. You'll also experience a live demonstration of the SAM water control system and get hands-on time with their latest rigs during their drive and ride event. From there, we'll visit the Grand Rapids Fire Department's brand new station, check out their brand new HME Aaron's Fox Core 62 engine. So do me a favor, mark your calendars. Come join me on September 23rd in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Come see the process, meet the builders, experience the future of fire apparatus with HME Aaron's Fox and the Dingus Fire Company.
Just being able to do that, to have somebody to talk to bounce ideas off of. Otherwise, you go crazy being a 5-bugle, keeping everything shut up all the time.
Yeah. I think that is right. We don't talk about that because you're not supposed to, bitch down, so to speak. So
right.
The fact that you're in this position, and I just, something simple as personnel issues, right? Like, you used to be able to, even that shift from company officer to, at least as a company officer, you had another company officer to be like, hey, dipshit did this today, and I don't know what he's put me in a spot that I can't defend him out of. I gotta, and they're right, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. There's that dynamic there. But once you get to that chief's level, that window, especially in departments like ours, which are, I think, the majority of the United States, we don't have, there's not a command, there's a command staff, but there are options to talk to people. We've got to make the connections. We got to get out there and say, hey, I'm Russell Alexander. I'm a fire chief from Fountain Inn, South Carolina. What's your department like? And
right.
Make those connections, because if we don't, we're gonna. That is actually, I think that, Russell, I'll be honest with you, that's one of the things that got me around September, October of last year. I definitely felt the weight of all of that responsibility with no outlet.
Yeah,
it was a.
We've started some stuff around. Our neighboring departments, we've started the chiefs. We try and go to breakfast, once a month or once every 2 months. Just go to breakfast, talk about common issues we're having. We're going through some growing pains, all of us, with Purvis, rebuilding the CAD. We've got a lot of, I'll call us newer chiefs, 3 to 5 years in, and we're really starting to change how we run things with each other. So just that great conversation around the table, not in the firehouse. You can speak freely. That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, man, you hit on something there. How do you, as a fire chief, maintain a frontline mindset? I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but obviously, it's, you have the sign on your door and whatnot. But how, what are some of the other ways that you maintain that frontline mindset to stay on your A game.
Like I said, working shift, just take a day out of the office, go get on the truck. That's one of the key things. I think a lot of right, wrong, and different. Yes, degrees mean something, but doing more than just a piece of paper. I'll go out and check the trucks in the mornings just to make sure I know where something is on the truck. Nothing worse than getting on a fire and you have to come out of your truck because we're short-staffed. You have to go get something off an engine for somebody, and you have no clue where it is because all you do is sit in the office. It doesn't work. Being able to put the truck in pump, being able to set the ladder up. You never know when you're going to have to do something. So I still keep my EMT up. I don't want to be useless on a medical call to the other EMTs and first responders that we have. If they're short, I need to be able to step up and say, hey, I got you on this cardiac arrest or whatever. Simple little things is writing a report for the crew on a call that you ran with them. That 5 minutes writing a report, let them go do something else. Finish lunch, they're still sitting on the table. As long as our dog Amber didn't eat it, she's got a habit of stealing everybody's food. Just the little things.
When it comes to like mentorship, how do you approach mentorship in the fire service? Like, is there an approach that works for you that you like?
If I'm asking one of our guys or telling them, hey, you need to find a mentor, somebody not in our department, I ask them to try and find two, somebody that they know and somebody that they have no clue who they are. Because that one that that's just it. They know you. They know how you act. They can help you with some things that they know are problems. But also finding that person that you have no clue who they are. So whether it's you go to a class, you catch up with somebody just during break, start building that relationship with them. You go to a convention, meet somebody new.
Solid. I mean, I don't think I've heard of the someone you know and someone you don't approach before, and I like that. If you had a chance to go back and look at some leadership habits over your career, which ones do you wish you had earlier on?
Man, so much in that. That's a deep question. Probably my biggest is listening, trying to listen to the whole issue. A lot of times we'll hear part of it and you're not actively listening. You're just listening to what you want to hear, and just that active listening part, to take it all in and then figure out, all right, how am I going to reply to this? And not just saying, hey, you dipshit, you did wrong.
Yeah, When you look at your mentors, who were the ones that influenced you the most and really like helped lay the groundwork for Russell Alexander?
Probably one of the biggest from way in the past. I still talk to him when I see him. I'll still text him every once in a while. But Todd Milam, he's a deputy chief at Parker now. Todd actually taught in South Carolina we had 1121, 1131. Todd taught my 1131. I've grown up with him in the fire service, bounced ideas off of him. He's told me I'm stupid, don't do that, or yeah, go do that. It's a smart thing to do. But that's probably one of my bigger things, and he's helped me both in the fire service and in life. There's some things I won't get into, but things that he's told me in life in general that make a lot of sense, and you learn what to do and what not to do from those. And then, like I said, Chief Littleton, just with building relationships. He always instills building relationships in us. He'll call me even though he's retired and just say, hey, how you doing? I was driving through Fountain Inn up the interstate and just figured I'd call you real quick. We've got a chat group for all the comms guys in the state and gals for the task force for all the honey badgers, and he's still very active in that, even though he's sitting back cheering us on now.
When you look at Fountain Inn, where do you think that, where would you want to see the fire department headed in the next 5-10 years?
Continue progressing. We're getting ready to build Station 3 by Rudolph Gordon. I think that's close to your family's places. Just the continued growth and continued support from the council and the city administrator. Our guys and girls, they want stuff to happen right now, but that's not the way politics work. We've had a lot of residential growth. That takes 2, 3, 4 years to start getting the money off of that. Once they're built, you don't just all of a sudden have all this money. So getting people to understand that, but just keeping that relationship with the city council the mayor, city administrator, assistant city administrator, showing them the need for our progression, and then hiring people that love the job. You get some that I can honestly say right now we have zero that are there just for a paycheck and insurance. Getting those people that actually want to do the job and get into it for the right reason.
Right. Yeah, 100%, man. I think that, like, the new station, my brother-in-law keeps telling me, he's like, hey, you can retire in New York. They built you a firehouse that you can work out of down here. And I keep telling him, Robbie, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
I said, I know some people, but I don't think I can just walk in and say, hey, my brother-in-law said this is the firehouse I'm supposed to work out of. But for working with the city council and city government, like, that is not an easy task. I mean, even when they're supportive, they're going to ask tough questions. Can you speak on that at all, as far as, like, any experiences, or I don't want to say tips and tricks, but, like, things that, like, to look out for as somebody who's in a leadership position when you're dealing with city government? Because sometimes they have a job to do. If we don't understand that, I feel like that's where some pitfalls could come in place.
Right. You've got a lot and not ours. Ours, they'll come by or they'll shoot you a text just checking on you. But just having that friendly relationship with them, yes, it's business, but you can still have that friendly, hey, how you doing? The biggest thing is don't go in there just banging your hands on the desk saying, hey, we want this. Have a plan laid out, go through, do your due diligence, have your facts together, make sure it's one voice and not 6 different voices going to that one person. That's probably the biggest. Our city administrator, I mean, he's got an open door, literally, 90% of the day. Very rarely do you see it closed. Yeah, he's a busy guy, but you can stop in his office and talk to him anytime. But being able to do that and saying,
right,
hey, we're having trouble with this, can you help us? Getting their input and getting them to buy into what you're doing and help you figure it out. The whole key to it is don't be an ass to your bosses.
Yeah, it typically doesn't work out well for you.
Right.
When it comes to legacy, what do you hope to leave behind?
Just went haywire again. All right. Man, that's a tough one. I guess the biggest thing is just continue moving forward. Don't get stagnant. I don't want our people being stagnant. Challenge yourself every day. Learn something new every day. Apply that. People now, there's all this training stuff out there. Yes, we're one of those departments. We do have one of the online platforms that we do training on, but you can also get some EMT in-service out of it. So that's a positive. But get them good hands-on training. Don't just use one of the computer platforms and say, hey, here's your training. This is all you get. I don't want to leave our people being robots. I want them to be thinking, doing, acting. So just continue to be progressive.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that impressed me the most about walking into Fountain Inn that first time I stopped in, was seeing all the stuff that you guys had built in-house for training. Because that's when I knew, like, this is not a check the box department.
Right.
There was a lot of neat stuff to see. You tried to get me to take the old tower ladder back to New Jersey. But Russell, can you kind of talk about the hands-on training and bringing good hands-on training in? Because I think that is something where, like, people, like, it's so easy, but then it's sometimes such a hard concept that it just fucking slips people. Like, they're just like, they can't grasp it.
Yeah. I mean, hands-on, that's the only way to go. I can show you in the book all day how to force a door, but until you get on, we've got a door prop that we were able to purchase, made locally in South Carolina. A plug for him. Just being able to get out there and do it. There's nothing like the crew rolling out of the station at 9:30 in the morning to go, whether it's as simple as walking around a new neighborhood, walking in houses that are just being constructed to fully finished, or we've got a guy in town that has done a lot of work. He gave us a house to use. So cutting roofs. I mean, how many times do you actually get to be able to go to a house that was actually built, wood and nails, not a bunch of gusset plates, get on the roof, cut it up, and then have your state SWAT team come in and blow doors off of it with explosives, and you get to do some some breaching training with them and play bad guy. You know, bad guy's always fun. But just being able to get out there, put your hands on stuff, there's nothing like it. I don't like people just sitting around looking at a computer screen while we're sitting here looking at screens. You know, being active, not only in the department, but we've got, I think we're up to like 7 or 8 people now out of a 30-person roster. If you count our part-time guy who's actually over USAR, that's a 9th person. But then being able to go to USAR training, get that training, which they bring back to their department, and train the other people. Mm-hmm. So now we have people trained in building collapse, some pretty fancy rope rescue techniques. You know, we've got people on the USAR team from our department in medical, planning, rescue. There's 3 of us on the heart team, 4 if you count Chad. He's kind of the big boss now, so he doesn't get to do as much. But, you know, even watching him lead down here, he's been in a helicopter all day with us doing training, not just sitting behind his desk. And he's like the number 3 man in the state for the fire service. So just being able to do that and not being idle hands, that's when stuff goes bad.
Amen. What is the heart team, if you don't mind me asking?
So the heart team is part of South Carolina Task Force 1, which is our state USAR team. We've got a pretty extensive boat side that does water work. The heart is helicopter aquatic rescue team. So they'll go in hurricanes, picking people off of roofs. Upstate, you know, we've got just a couple mountains up there. Lost hikers, they'll hoist in, get an injured hiker, hoist them out, carry them to an LZ to do a swap with a medevac. Part of what I do is communications. So I think everybody heard about the Table Rock fire that we had. Myself and Greg Shesher, who's a battalion chief in Charleston, they put us on Lakota with all the equipment, flew up to the top of Table Rock, and they hoisted us from the helicopter to the top of the rock with a couple generators, a mobile repeater, antenna set up, and we set up a repeater system on top of the mountain. They flew back and picked us up, you know, just being able to do stuff like that. I think we're the only team in the country that has comms guys that are hoist qualified. So setting a standard.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'd say so. Russell, is there any, like, you know, we've been going on for almost 40, 45 minutes here. Is there anything that we're missing in the conversation that you wanted to hit on that we didn't talk about today?
I don't know. I guess the main thing is be nice to people. Don't be a prick in the firehouse. Nobody likes a prick. You meet some great people when you go out places. One of the guys walking past me, Joe, he works for Lexington. Great guy, great asset. You know, building those relationships with people outside of your department. That's probably the biggest is relationships. That's what makes or breaks you in the fire service. Being able to have that person that you can call at 2 o'clock in the morning because you're having a bad day.
All right. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you taking the time to
stuck on the call,
sit down and talk with us. I just took a couple pages of notes here, so that's good. But don't be a prick in the firehouse and build the relationships. I mean, the communication, that constant message. I mean, it's all something that's important. Like I said, I thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with me today. I've been trying to nail this down. Full disclosure, I put Russell in on the wrong month in my calendar, so he completely blew him off. So I'm happy that he decided to sit down with me today. But just stick around for a minute here, Russell. But this is Rob from Frontline Mindset. We thank you guys for joining us tonight. Russell Alexander, Chief of Fountain Inn, down in Fountain Inn, South Carolina. We will see you guys on the next one.